Namaste, good morning and good evening to all of you worldwide from JKYog and the Radhakrishna Temple of Dallas. A very warm welcome to JKYog International Women's Day Awards. The theme for the 114th International Women's Day is Inspiring Inclusion. A culture of inclusivity in any organization or community promotes diversity, innovation, and creativity while making everyone feel welcome. Diverse perspectives provide more information, encourage better decision making, and foster creative problem solving approaches. Through this event, we hope to raise awareness about the importance of inclusion and provide practical tools to implement it in everyday life. Lined up for you are inspiring talks by trailblazing women who have created a culture of inclusivity in their own fields. A special panel with live interactive Q&A will help you to understand the crucial importance of developing an inclusive mindset in our lives. Before we get started with this event, let us watch an inspiring video about what inclusion means to our worldwide JKYO community.
Inclusion means being heard, being given a chance to contribute towards a common goal,
to be valued, to be heard irrespective of gender,
recognizing and embracing the uniqueness of every individual.
Inclusion to me means inviting people no matter how different they are from you.
Inclusion is belonging. Belonging to God.
Inclusion means acceptance.
Embrace everyone without discrimination and to provide equal opportunities.
Valuing everyone equally for who they are,
no matter gender, race, or age.
Inclusion is to find those areas of commonality where you can share with any person you meet.
The allowance of diversity, regardless of occupation, gender, income, race, etc.
For me, inclusion means creating a space where every woman, regardless of background, ethnicity, or circumstance, feels heard, valued, and empowered.
And encouraged to contribute their unique perspective.
Today, we invite you to acknowledge and appreciate the distinct perspectives and contribution of women from all backgrounds and sincerely involve and include them in every aspect of your life. Please join us in a ribbon-cutting ceremony to open the JKYog IWD Awards 2024.
राधे राधे। इंटरनेशनल वुमेन्स डे के उपलक्ष्य में इस कार्यक्रम को दीप प्रज्वलित करते हुए 5 बहनों द्वारा दीप प्रागट्य किया जाएगा। कहा जाता है कि यत्र नार्यस्तु पूज्यन्ते रमन्ते तत्र देवताः, जहाँ नारियों का सम्मान होता है वहाँ देवता भी रमण करते हैं। तो यहाँ नारी के सम्मान के इस कार्यक्रम के उपलक्ष्य में 5 बहनों द्वारा आइए दीप प्रागट्य करते हैं मंत्रोच्चार के साथ में। हरिः ओम। चंद्रमा मनसो जातचक्षोः सूर्यो अजायत श्रोत्राद्वायुश्च प्राणश्च मुखात् अग्निरजायत। ॐ शुभं करोतु कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदां शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्माम् अमृतंगमय ॐ शांति शांति शांति। बोलिए श्री राधा कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
To inaugurate this event, we are honored to welcome JKYog founder, global spiritual leader, Swami Mukundanand. Namaste, Swamiji. Our heartfelt gratitude to you for making time to join us in support of this event today.
Namaste, everyone. Radhe Radhe Shreya. I am delighted to see the JKYog community coming together to celebrate International Women's Day 2024 with the theme of inspiring inclusion for women in all spheres of life through the JKYog International Women's Day Awards. With today's event, we aim to bring more awareness and practical implementation of inclusivity for women in various aspects of our lives. This will empower our workplaces and communities with diverse perspectives and creative solutions to problems. Heartiest congratulations to all the accomplished JKYog International Women's Day awardees. I look forward to hearing their enriching experiences and participating in a lively panel discussion. My best wishes and blessings for a very successful event.
Thank you, Swamiji, for your blessings and most gracious presence on this occasion. We all are looking forward to your inspiring keynote address and eagerly awaiting the panel discussion on fostering inclusivity. It is my honor to introduce Srimati Ratna Reddy. Srimati Ratna Reddy has established an herbal park with hundreds of medicinal plants and also developed medicinal herbs with extracts that have helped thousands of patients. She's making a true difference in the lives of people. Let's welcome Srimati Ratna Reddy.
నమస్తే, నా పేరు రత్నమ్మ. మాది కొలమాసంపల్లి, పల్మనేరు తాలూకా, చిత్తూరు డిస్టిక్ అండి. రత్నారెడ్డి అంటారు నన్ను. కానీ మేము అగ్రికల్చర్లో ఉన్నాం కాబట్టి నాకు 18 ఏళ్ళ వయసులో నేను 5th క్లాసే చదువుకున్నాను. 18 ఏళ్ళ వయసులో పెళ్లి చేసుకున్నాం. మా ఆయన తిరుపతి యూనివర్సిటీ ఫస్ట్ బ్యాచ్ గోల్డ్ మెడలిస్ట్, మెకానికల్ ఇంజనీరు. పెళ్ళయిన తర్వాత మే 24 పెళ్ళయింది. జూన్ 7వ తేదీ రూర్కెల్లో చేరాను. అక్కడ హిందీ, ఇంగ్లీషు, బెంగాలీ, ఒడియా ఉండేది. నాకు అవి వచ్చేవి కాదు ఆ భాష. ఏం చేసేది అక్కడ ఎట్లా ఉండేదని మళ్ళీ మా ఆయన్ని అడిగి తెలుగు హిందీ, తెలుగు బెంగాలీ, తెలుగు ఒడియా, తెలుగు ఇంగ్లీషు తీసుకొని ట్రాన్స్లేషన్లో భాష నేర్చుకున్న తర్వాత నాకే ఇంత కష్టంగా ఉంది, మా చిత్తూరు డిస్టిక్ ఎట్లుందని మా తాతగారి ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఉంది, వాళ్ళకి ఫోన్ చేసి అడిగితే తిరుపతి నుంచి చిత్తూరు వరకు 15%, చిత్తూరు నుంచి కుప్పం వరకు 5%, 20% ఉన్నారు ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పీపుల్. అంటే ఎట్లన్నా కానీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇంప్రూవ్ చేయాలా చిత్తూరు డిస్టిక్కి, మనకే ఇంత కష్టంగా ఉంది అని ఊహించాను. కానీ దానికి ముందు నేను గుడ్డలు కుడతా ఉంటే అది బాగా సక్సెస్ అయింది. బాగా గుడ్డలు కుట్టి కొంచెం డబ్బులు సంపాదించుకొని వచ్చి ఈసీఆర్ డిగ్రీ కాలేజ్ అని 1981లో స్టార్ట్ చేశాను. 32 కోర్సులు, 18 కోట్లు ఖర్చు పెట్టి 22 బిల్డింగ్లు కట్టించి స్టార్ట్ చేశాను. ఈ పొద్దు 85% అయ్యిందారు ఎడ్యుకేషన్ పీపుల్. ఇంకా 15% చదివితే కేరళని బీట్ కొడుతుందని నా చిత్తూరు డిస్టిక్ ఇప్పుడు 7వ ర్యాంకులో ఉంది. చాలా సంతోషం వేసింది. మళ్ళీ వ్యాపారాలు ఊరికి వచ్చిన తర్వాత మా చిన్న తాత పక్షపాతానికి ముందిస్తూ ఉండే ఏర్పాటుపురంలో. ఆ తాత దగ్గర అన్ని మందులు నేర్చుకుంటే అందుకు ఆయుర్వేద ఫ్యాక్టరీ పెడితే ఈ పూర్ పీపుల్ అంతా డాక్టర్కి ఫీజు లేదు, మందులు కూడా చాలా తక్కువ ధరకిస్తాను ఇచ్చి చాలామందికి కిడ్నీలో రాళ్ళు ఉన్నా సరే, మొళ్ళు ఉన్నా సరే, బీపీ ఉన్నా సరే, షుగర్ ఉన్నా సరే, హార్ట్ అటాక్ వచ్చినా కూడా ఫస్ట్ టైం అయితే కూడా బాగు చేసే శక్తి వచ్చింది. ఇంత మంచి మందులు తయారు చేసి బయట దేశాలకు కూడా పంపిస్తూ ఉన్నాము. ఇండియా మొత్తం పోతూ ఉన్నాయి. మంచి అవార్డులు ఇచ్చినాను నాకు, బాగున్నాయి మందులని. ట్యాన్ ఫ్యాక్టరీ పెట్టుకోండాను. ఆయుర్వేద ఫ్యాక్టరీలో 150 మంది పనిచేస్తారు. ఇట్లా నా లైఫ్ని చేసుకుంటూ చిన్న పల్లెటూరులో అంతా ఎడ్యుకేషన్ కోసము ఒక 40 స్కూల్ కట్టాను. గుళ్ళు, దేవుడు, ధర్మము అనేది ఏమి మనసులో కొంచెం నీతి నిజాయితీ రావాలని ఒక 400 గుళ్ళు విగ్రహాలు తెచ్చి ఏదో చేతనైన సహాయం చేసి ఒక 400 గుళ్ళు కట్టించాను. మళ్ళీ పిల్లలు ఎడ్యుకేషన్ కోసము 95% వచ్చిన వాళ్ళు నేను సంపాదించిన దాంట్లో ఏదో ఒక 10-15% ఎత్తిపెట్టి ఆ పిల్లలంతా చదివించినాను. ఒక 2000 మందిని చదివించింట చిత్తూరు డిస్టిక్లో. అట్లా నా చేతనైన సహాయం చేసుకుంటూ ఇట్లా ఫ్యాక్టరీ డెవలప్ చేసుకొని ఇంతవరకు పైకి వచ్చాను. ఇప్పుడు నా వయసు 80 ఇయర్స్. ఇప్పుడు మా చిత్తూరు డిస్టిక్ కూడా 85% ఉంది కాబట్టి ప్రతి ఒక్కరు బతకగలుగుతారనే ఒక స్ఫూర్తి, నాలో ఒక సంతోషము వచ్చింది. ఇది నేను చేసిన సోషల్ వర్క్. కానీ ఎన్నో రకాలుగా నా చేతనైనంత వరకు హెల్ప్ చేస్తూ వచ్చాను. అది గాడ్ గిఫ్ట్. ఆ దేవుడి దయతోనే నేను ఇంత పైకి వచ్చానేమో అని గుళ్ళు బాగా కట్టించాను. లాస్ట్లో ఒక 24 అడుగుల 11 ఇంచులు ఆంజనేయ స్వామి గుడి కట్టాను 19 కోట్లు ఖర్చు పెట్టి. అది పలంనేరుకి మా కొలమాసంపల్లికి మధ్యలో మురుం పంచాయతీలో అడవిలో కట్టాను. చాలా బాగుంది గుడి కూడా. అమెరికా నుంచి స్వామి ముకుందానంద స్వామి ఈ అవకాశం ఇచ్చిన దానికి చాలా సంతోషము. JKYog వారికి కూడా నా ఉదయపూర్వకమైన నమస్కారాలు. మీరు ఈ అవకాశం ఇచ్చిన దానికి చాలా సంతోషంగా ఉంది. ఏదో వీలైనంత వరకు హెల్ప్ చేశానండి. థ్యాంక్స్ అండి.
Namaste everyone. My name is Shruti Potturi, and on behalf of JKYog, I am delighted to introduce you to Miss Sujata Gautam, who has received JKYog's Environmentalist Award as the Rising Star. Sujata is a sustainability professional who is passionate about bringing more mindfulness to how people interact with the earth and each other. With a degree in civil and environmental engineering and a master's in social innovation and sustainability leadership, Sujata has worked in various roles throughout her young career. In Wisconsin, she was a sustainability engagement coordinator for the Dane County Department of Waste and Renewables. She led outreach and education efforts and managed the Trash Lab and the Dane County Sustainability Campus projects. Sujata also helped secure nearly $500,000 of federal funding for composting in Dane County. She's excited to return to her home state of Texas to support sustainability projects. Please join your hands to welcome Sujata Gautam to this platform. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for being here with us. It truly is an honor. So can you talk a little bit about your work with the Dane County Department of Waste and Renewables?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that a lot of times when I get introduced as a sustainability engagement coordinator, it raises a lot of eyebrows because it's a little bit vague. What exactly does a sustainability engagement coordinator do? So my role with the county as a sustainability engagement coordinator really falls into two large buckets of work. So one area of my work as a sustainability engagement coordinator was outreach and education. So I would do tours of the landfill. So as the department, we basically owned and operated the landfill. So all the trash that people in the community produced would come there, and we would make sure we were managing the trash in the landfill in a way that protected the health of our community and environment. And so my role was getting to really share this fascinating story of what happens to your trash after you throw it away. Where does it go? What do we do with it? And why does it matter? So I got to host tours of folks that came from all walks of life, from little kids to elderlies, and took them to the landfill so they could really see that process, because we really want to demystify what happens to trash so that folks can be a little bit more mindful about, what is it that I throw away? And wow, it goes here. How can I do better to not produce so much? So I really loved doing tours of the landfill. And then I also went out to schools and community groups and did presentations, because folks also wanted to know what happened to their trash and would invite us to come out into the community to share that story. So I joke that half of my job was literally just trash talking all day. And it was great. I think a lot of people were really inspired when they inspired by the fact that, oh, we can make a difference in the amount of trash that we generate by doing X, Y, or Z activities. And they were really shocked to see how much trash that our community generated. And sometimes seeing that visually by coming to tour the landfill was just a really, really great eye-opening experience for people. So that is one half of the work that I do. And then the other half of the work is managing large sustainability projects like the Sustainability Campus. So I mentioned that as a department, we are responsible for managing the waste that our community generates. But we recognize that we want to do more than just managing and building landfills to manage our community's waste. It's, landfills are great in that we can manage the trash in a way that's preventing any contamination into the air, soil, etc. by the way we design it. Landfills are highly engineered. But we don't want to, again, be depending on just putting our trash in a landfill forever. And so my work with the Sustainability Campus project was designing a campus, building a master document, a plan to where we could start attracting businesses that would offer reuse, recycling, and repair opportunities for different materials. So, for example, mattresses. Mattresses are a huge nuisance in landfills. We receive hundreds of thousands of mattresses every year, and they take up a lot of space in the landfill. But mattresses are also items that can be recycled. But there isn't a recycling facility in our area that did that. And we wanted to build a mattress recycling facility on our sustainability campus so that we can take mattresses out of needing to go to the landfill and instead be recycled to produce other products. So we want to do that with as many materials as business financially viably makes sense to do so. So that is part of the Sustainability Campus vision and project. So super exciting to be part of the team that really got that moving and going.
That's incredible, because to be honest, I don't think I really ever reflected on what happens to my trash once I put it in the trash. And so what you're doing is like genuinely so important, because I think there's a huge gap in education, and people aren't aware of that and the impact that it has on the environment. So it's incredible that like you took this as your job and you're working towards educating people. So can you also tell us something about the trash lab, the concept, how it can be implemented here in our local county and its benefits for the environment?
Absolutely. Yeah. So let me back up a little bit and kind of explain what is a trash lab, because again, it's a little bit ambiguous in terms of what it might mean. So the trash lab is essentially a big trailer that we converted into a museum on wheels. And so inside we built exhibits that seek to explain what is the makeup of our trash, what happens to it after you throw it away, and what do we do here in Dane County to manage that material, and what is the future we want to work towards when it comes to sustainably managing our materials, because we don't want to be throwing away things in a landfill forever. And so the Trash Lab seeks to convey that story in a really playful, fun way through interactive games, exhibits, and models. And I wish I could have brought it here to show you, but inside we've lined the whole ceiling of the trailer filled with objects that we literally pulled out of the trash, because we wanted to show people, look at some of these items that get thrown away. So it's everything from really beautiful toys that could have been donated to items that, if it was just repaired a little bit, could have still been usable. And often when people came into this trailer, into our trash lab, they would look at the ceiling and be appalled that, wow, our community throws away a lot of things that don't really need to be thrown away. So how did we get into this mindset of don't know what to do with something, just toss it in the trash, right? And with the trash lab, we really want to seek to create that hover moment where you're hovering something before the trash can, deciding, oh, should I throw it away? But encouraging people to stop and think about, does it really need to go in the trash or not? And so this trash lab that we built does all of these things and invites people to reflect on their own personal relationship with waste. Why do you buy the things that you do and use them in the way that you do, and produce the amount of trash that you do? So it's just encouraging people to think a little bit more about a subject like trash, which is so out of sight and out of mind, and seeking people to think about their relationship with trash in a playful and fun way. And because it's so novel and innovative in concept, and the way that we built it was using reclaimed, reused, repurposed materials, right? Because we want to walk the walk and talk the talk. We got the trailer used. Over 90% of the materials used to build the exhibit we used from what we had on site, and a good chunk of it was also, trash objects that we pulled out. Because it achieved all these objectives in a really cool way, we were recognized internationally for our trash lab. Given the educational impacts it's had, we've visited so many schools, seen thousands and thousands of people, and other projects have spurred from people visiting the trash lab, which to me is one of the coolest takeaways, that it inspired other people to make murals and collect their own trash and think about what happens to the items that they consume when they no longer need it, and why do we consume the way that we do. So I think that's been really cool, and just the fact that we've been able to be recognized at an international, national, and local level for this project.
It's incredible. I actually saw pictures of the trash lab, and it's so beautiful. The thing that you're talking about on the wall, it's like a rainbow, and just seeing like how that was all trash, and it just makes you, exactly what you said, that hovering moment. I think a lot of us, we don't take the time to reflect, because when you think of trash, it's like, oh, I just want to get rid of it.
Right.
But really, like, when you realize that, we play such a large part in all of the all the objects that are here on Earth, and how we interact with them. And I think just being more respectful of what we're consuming and how we're disposing of it can make such a big difference. So the fact that you created this exhibit to kind of create that knowledge and allow people to have that moment of realization where they're thinking how can I implement this, is just incredible.
Thank you.
So it's such a beautiful initiative. If you had to leave today's audience with one most powerful message, what would that be?
That's such a great question. I think for me, the biggest message I like to tell people is, yes, sometimes it's overwhelming, and even myself, when I started looking at my own waste generation, I was like, man, I contribute to the problem. I produce trash. And sometimes you can feel overwhelmed and guilty by that. And then there's a lack of wanting to do anything. Or you're just paralyzed by oh, it's such a big problem, but also I don't know what I can do. Knowing that you can still do things that make a difference, I think, is really important. And specifically in the waste field, I really like to encourage people to conduct a personal waste audit. So what that looks like is you go to your home, and for a week, everything that you put in the trash can, keep in the trash can, and don't take your trash out to the curb. Instead, take your trash bin and take out everything that's in there and lay it on a tarp, and wear gloves because it might get a bit gross. And then separate out the materials in your trash. See, what are you throwing away? Because you can't really change what you can't measure. And if you don't know how much, for example, food waste is in my trash, how much plastic bags do I have in my trash, it's hard to know where you can start to make a little bit of a difference. And so I started that journey for myself 10 plus years ago, where I realized, I'm producing a lot of trash as well, and I want to do better. And so doing a waste audit allowed me to see where I could do better. And so I started making modifications to some of the habits that I had in my life, right? So I would try not to, I would make sure I bring reusable shopping bags, for example. And over time, those little things add up to where now I can fit my trash from like a couple of months worth in a small yogurt container. And I have a little picture of me with my trash from several months in just a yogurt container that I've showed my friends, who are often surprised. They're like, how do you do that? And it's all those little changes that slowly add up. So even if it feels overwhelming sometimes, don't doubt that even the smallest action can eventually accumulate to be inspiring for someone, or also just add up to have a bigger impact than you think.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, now that you said that, I definitely will do the trash audit and try to be more mindful. And, in JKYog, like we always talk about the law of incremental growth and how a change of just like 1% every day, like in a couple months, it's 100%.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is like, you start making those small changes and it adds up. And,
It totally
hopefully
does.
one day we all can get to the point where we also have a little yogurt container of trash. So we honestly are so, feel so honored and privileged that you're here today, because, what you're doing is so crucial, because, I don't think up till now in history, like I think this is the generation that's producing the most waste, and we're hurting the environment the most. So having people like you that we can look up to that are guiding us makes such a big difference, because now we know what changes we need to make, and you're really helping lead all of us. So we are so grateful that you're here today, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And I also want to thank you all for this opportunity to share a little bit about my work and how we can make a difference in this one small area of life, right? In terms of trash and sustainability and waste management. And want to give my hearty thanks to JKYog and Swami Mukananda for, again, this recognition and recognizing so many other inspiring women on International Women's Day for the work that they're doing to help make this world a little more better for everybody, and so that we can also live more fulfilled lives and with more mindfulness in general. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Namaste, everyone. My name is Smita Mehta, and on behalf of JKYog, I have the honor and privilege to introduce you to Ms. Nawaz Merchant, who has been conferred with the Award of Art and Culture for Creative Writing by JKYog. Ms. Nawaz Merchant is an Indian-born author who has achieved several literary accolades. Her debut novel, Murder in Old Bombay, won an audiophile award and was a finalist for 6 national awards, including the Edgar and Anthony Award. In her series of books, she explores issues of identity, race, and moral boundaries. Ms. Merchant's work has been featured in the New York Times, NPR, many mystery magazines, and other publications. Ms. Merchant also writes screenplays and teaches creative writing at Rutgers University. She currently serves as the president of the New York Chapter Board of Mystery Writers of America and supports the Mercer County nonprofit Shine and Inspire. She's also the vice president of the Zoroastrian Association of Greater New York. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Nawaz Merchant to this platform so we can hear more about her accomplishments. We're so happy to have you with us, Nawazji. Welcome.
Thank you, Smitaji. Appreciate it. What a lovely introduction.
So shall we get started with some questions I have for you?
Sure, absolutely.
So I find it very interesting that your mystery books are written from the perspective of an Indian immigrant detective duo, but they cover a range of different countries. So, how did you select the background or context for your books?
I choose moments in history that are lesser known, but that have made an impact and maybe even changed the course of history. What most people don't realize is that big events are impacted by single individuals, sometimes single choices. And so I look at the turn of the century fascinates me in that time period. I look at that time period and identify moments of change. I love the fact that I have this immigrant duo who are both husband and wife, both are detectives, and they can travel to different places and have this fish out of water experience, because the outsider perspective, I think, is very valuable. We are a very authentic mirror because we immigrants can see what other people who live here may have gotten very used to and may not see anymore.
Beautiful. Each time I read something about you, I find many more interesting facts. So, one of those has to do with your educational background. Now, you specialized in many diverse fields like economics, psychology, and health policy. And you also worked for some time in the pharmaceutical industry. So, what convinced you to drop that professional career and return to fiction writing, which was always your first love?
Yeah, I started out writing short stories at the age of 11, and by the age of 20, I was published in this wonderful magazine called Highlights, which is a magazine for children in India. And I've always loved writing. For me, it is akin to breathing. So I was writing short stories throughout. I was writing novels even when I was in my 20s. I have 4 unpublished manuscripts that I wrote because it was natural for me. But you know how it is in India, you can't really make a living as a writer. You have to first experience life and work in a proper career. And I have the luxury of, after 20 years of corporate work and experience, realizing that I could now free myself to follow my passion. And so that was a choice we made, almost 8 years ago. And I thought, okay, if this doesn't go anywhere, I'll treat it as a hobby. I will always write, but maybe I will just write for myself and my family. And lo and behold, because Murder No Bombay got such a wonderful reception, I could actually convert this into a lucrative career. So it has been enormously rewarding in the connections I've made with other people. And I'm so happy that they appreciate my work.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you've also mentioned that some of the volunteer activities that you engage in with nonprofit organizations are not necessarily related to writing projects. So I'm very curious about how you go about helping individuals, particularly youth, in difficult circumstances. So I would love to hear from you about this.
Absolutely. I've been a volunteer with the small local Mercer County nonprofit called Shine and Inspire. And one of the things that we've done as a group is recognize that there are indigent students in high school, middle school, elementary school, and that some of them may even be homeless. It shocked us to know that in this county, that is got Princeton in that county, we do have over 260 homeless youth in the school system. And one thing we could do to support them to stay in school, to continue to be part of the community rather than dropping out, is to provide toiletries and so on. So we have 29 closets where free of charge we offer snacks and school supplies and toiletries and detergent. Many of the schools have put up washers and dryers to students. It's very private in the sense that they're doing this quietly, respecting the individual's privacy and their dignity, and not making it a public thing, so that they can protect those students as well. and we do everything we can to stock those closets and to fundraise and so on. We also have twice a year an event where there's a back to school event in June or July, where we give these, could be 100 or 120 students backpacks, clothing and shoes and so on. And then in winter, it's winter jackets, winter clothes, winter shoes, because they are clothing. And so having nice stuff, and as well as, of course, backpacks will give you school supplies. Having nice stuff, materialistic stuff, does help children feel equal.
Yes.
And not ashamed of going to school. And so we're trying to just ease them into that environment. Last time we brought this group called the Civil Air Patrol, which is a wonderful young group, and lovely Indian students came in force, actually. Our 100 kids from the Hamilton area were just amazed at seeing drones and copters and so on, and learning about the Bernoulli principle of flight from these youngsters. So it's a leadership opportunity for them, and our youngsters, who are our guests, got a wonderful experience at this event to see how other children can look up to them.
That's wonderful. So I'm just thinking that, by assisting youth, particularly who are going through tough times, without a proper home and environment, that must be really fulfilling for you. And as an author, do these things come into your books?
Absolutely. Smitaji, we each live in such a tiny bubble. The same people, the same job, the same places. So reading is one way we can expand our bubble. And for me, my volunteer work allows me a small window into their lives. I may have a small interaction with them, a family that is very close to getting, evicted. And so I go in there and work with them and encourage them and connect them to various agencies and supports.
Yes.
That allows me to see how they're struggling, but also to admire their courage. Many of them have gone through years and decades of trauma, and so I salute them. It has changed my opinion on certain. I'll be honest, certain entire races. I have such respect for Black grandmothers who are raising 4 of their grandkids and their daughter, protecting her when she has some mental illness. Grandfathers, I have dads who are raising 3 children alone, and are got 3 jobs at the same time, and still are very worried about making sure the childcare is there so that their children are safe. These people are extremely hardworking, and I do bring those stories in some fashion, not directly, but in some fashion, I bring those stories into my work, into my books.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful, because so many of us have misconceptions and stereotypes associated with people who are homeless. So thank you for that, clarity, and look forward to reading some of those in your books. So has it ever happened where the way the book shapes and you produce an end, if these are unsolved mysteries, do they ever actually solve the mystery based on your book?
I do offer a fictional resolution, and who knows, these things may well have happened. But the books are really about today. Historical fiction is always about today. I write about history because there's a wonderful line in this movie called The Holdovers, where the teacher says, history is not just a reporting of the facts, it's an explanation of the present. It's not just a reporting of the past, it actually tells you the origins of the present. And so I do think that has a lot to do with the way we think today. So the original crime may have escaped punishment, but how we think about these issues is very present today.
True. Thank you. Appreciate that. Before we end, one last question. If you had to leave today's audience with the most powerful message that you personally would like to communicate, what would that be?
Wow, that's a great one. I would suggest this. We are here on Earth for a very short time. It may not look like it, but it is such a tiny, tiny amount of time. So I would say make best use of every second. If any thought does not serve you, is not productive, it is not bringing joy, drop it. Do not go back into the past. Do not waste time on recriminations, on blame, on fault finding, on finger pointing, whether it's with your family or with your boss. I would say the single thing that I've learned from my various experiences, including my near-death experience in an accident, is that life is extremely short and it passes in the blink of an eye. So make wonderful, blessed use of it.
Thank you so much. And once again, on behalf of JKYog, I'm so honored to have this opportunity to speak with you, wishing you loads of success in all your future upcoming books. And if you ever happen to come to Dallas, we would love to have you visit the Radhakrishna Temple here of
Thank you so
JKYog.
much. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I'm so grateful to JKYog and Swami Mukundananji and yourself, Smitaji. This has been such an honor. I do appreciate it. And thank you for the wonderful questions.
Thank you.
What is inclusion?
It is freedom to be myself
and not lose opportunities for growth.
Inclusion is
being able to communicate my feedback clearly
without fear of judgment, avoidance, or retaliation.
being made a part of key conversations and decisions,
and receiving equal access to resources without having to ask.
Inclusion is not having to talk over someone,
To make yourself feel heard.
not having to toot your own horn to get recognized for what is due to you.
Inclusion is understanding that there is a room for multiple perspectives.
That different doesn't mean deficient.
Inclusion is not a favor we do to others,
But a moral duty to recognize their inherent values, contributions, merits, and rights.
It is the realization that we may have different cultures, goals, situations, and values, but we are all equally human.
Inclusion is respect.
Recognizing that we all deserve optimal education, healthcare, and economic development.
And right to do what is best for our bodies, minds, and spirits.
It is recognizing
that we all have an important part to play in God's plan.
If one of us suffers,
we all suffer.
Inclusion means that alone we may go fast,
but together we will go farther than we could have ever imagined.
Inspire inclusion.
Inspire inclusion.
Swami Mukundanand, the founder of JKYog, is a senior disciple of Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj, a renowned global spiritual leader, Vedic scholar, and Bhakti saint. Please join me in welcoming with a huge round of applause Swami Mukundanand.
Swami Mukundanand is a global spiritual leader, best-selling author, Vedic scholar, and IIT IIM graduate. Swamiji has an exceptional ability to convert ancient yogic knowledge into wisdom for everyday living. He is a founder of various non-profit organizations like a charitable hospital, a naturopathy hospital, spiritual centers across the world, the beautiful Radhakrishna Temple of Dallas, and is presently constructing a university in Odisha. Swamiji is the best-selling author of The Science of Mind Management and 7 Mindsets for Success. He is the founder of the yogic system called JKYog. By his compassionate and approachable nature, Swami Mukundanand is transforming lives across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Swami Mukundanand.
Radhe, I offer my most respectful and humble obeisances at the lotus feet of the Divine Mother of the Universe, Sri Radharani, and heartfelt greetings to each and every one of you as JKYog joins the rest of the world in celebrating International Women's Day 2024. This global movement had its humble beginnings in the year 1911, when on 8th of March, the first Women's Day celebration took place. The idea behind it was to dismantle and do away with discrimination based on gender and to take a strong step in the direction of gender equality. JKYog considers it an honor and privilege to celebrate this day every year because it aligns with the deepest values that we hold at the core of our being. The values of inclusiveness, which are based on the understanding of the sacredness of all creation. The Vedas teach us, Isha Vasamidam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyan Jagat. The whole world has emanated from the Supreme. It is pervaded in its every aspect by the Supreme. And therefore, we must not develop negativity or discrimination, rather a healthy sense of respect to all life in this world. That is why the Upanishads presented us with such a wonderful concept. If the peoples of the world could understand this and accept it, there would be no scope for any further kind of discrimination. We would then be living in a world that would be perfectly inclusive of all races, creeds, sects, religions, skin colors, and the like. And what is this concept the Vedas talk about? The Maha Upanishad states, Ayam nija paroveti ganana laghu chetasam udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. Those who are of small mind discriminate on the basis of the self. I am like this, you are like that. This is mine, that is yours. However, the sign of a heroic and large heart and illumined intellect is what? Vasudha eva kutumbakam. The whole earth is my family. What to talk of other genders? In this family of ours, as the inhabitants of the planet Earth, are included all living beings. And why is that so? Because the spirit in every life form is sacred. And that spirit is a part of the Supreme Spirit. Mamaivansho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana. This eternal spiritual principle is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna says, Arjun, all living beings in this world are my eternal fragmental parts. So if we respect the source of creation as being divine, we will then respect all fragments of that creator as also divine. That is why, again, the Bhagavad Gita tells us, Vidya Vidaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Kuni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. A person of knowledge is that person who sees with equal vision a Brahman, cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. So discrimination is not the sign of enlightenment, rather a symptom of ignorance. And the reverse of that is the spirit of inclusion, which comes by a deep understanding of the interrelatedness of life and its connection to the one source. Another aspect of creation is that in every part of it, some glory of the Creator is manifested to a very enhanced extent. From the Vedic perspective, that Creator has two aspects to his personality, the masculine and the feminine. Krishna and Radha, Ram and Sita, Shiv and Parvati, Narayan and Lakshmi. While Krishna is the father of the universe, Radha is the mother. And those motherly qualities are so evident in her. Hence the saying, Sri Krishno Jagatan Tato Jagan Mata Tu Radhika Pitu Satuguna Mata Vandya Pujyam Gariyasi. Sri Krishna is the father of the universe and Radharani is the mother. The position of the mother is 100 times more important than the position of the father. So those motherly qualities that manifest in the mother of the universe, Radha, Durga, Sita, Kali, Lakshmi, they are also reflected in the feminine gender amongst the human species and in all species. God has bestowed upon women the role of being the mother of man. And to help women fulfill that role, he has particularly endowed them with kindness, compassion, empathy, sacrifice, caring, and an attitude of service. And at the same time, physically, women are weaker than men. So in a brute society, where the currency of power is brute force, women become subjugated, oppressed, and victimized. But the sign of a civilized society is that even the weaker sections are respected, are protected, and provided the facility and support they need to live their best lives. That is why the ancient lawgiver Manuji Maharaj, he put it in his Manu's Smriti, Yatra nari yastu pujyante ramante tatra devata. In that civilization where women are venerated, the celestial gods rejoice and bestow their blessings. Yatraitastu na pujyante tatra sarva phala kriya. And where women are not accorded that respect that they deserve and they are not revered, then all Vedic rituals, practices, ceremonies are fruitless and futile. The ancient Vedic civilization was a very inclusive one. Women and men both played an equally important role in society, and both had access to knowledge and spiritual opportunities. That is why the king of the celestials, Indra, was initiated into knowledge of the universal spirit by his mother, Aditi. We also come across so many illustrious, enlightened women who in the Upanishads engaged in philosophical debate with great sages. One of them was Maitreyi, who debated with her sage husband Yagyavalkya. In Delhi, there is a university after her name. There is also mention of Gargi, who was one of the Navaratnas in the court of the enlightened king Janak. The ancient Indian universities, Shishila and Nalanda, were interestingly co-educational. Imagine the gender equality and inclusiveness in a university that existed 2,500 years ago. However, with the passage of time, this spirit of inclusivity started getting lost. And yet, in pre-modern times, we hear of the golden period, the rule of Rani Ahilyabai Holkar of Malwa, when her husband was killed in battle. And subsequently, 10 years later, her son as well. He said, I will not forfeit my kingdom to these invaders. He donned the mantle of the regent, and she not only led her armies in battle and successfully defended her kingdom, but she also subsequently created such a wonderful rule that has gone down in history as the golden period. She opened dharmashalas for travelers. She rebuilt hundreds of temples all the way from Badrikashram to Dwarkapuri and even the famous temple of Kashi Vishwanath. She would forgive people who did wrong to her. She would give daily audience to her citizens where everybody had the right to participate. She did not live in opulence, but believed that the taxes she gathered from people were meant for their benefit. And in doing so, he manifested the finest of womanly qualities. The respect for the qualities of caring, nurturing, sacrifice, empathy that manifest in the feminine gender of the human species is intuitively realized and acknowledged in most of the cultures of the world. And that is why we refer to the earth as Mother Earth, because of the nurturing and caring we receive from it. In this modern world, to a large extent, gender equality has been institutionalized in the democracies of the world. And gender inclusiveness is now the legal right of women. What is needed is for them to develop faith in their potential and claim that right. As somebody said, the most common way we give away our power is by not realizing that we have it. And that is why the theme of this year's International Women's Day, inspiring inclusiveness, is so important. We at JKYog consider it our utmost honor and privilege to do our bit for this cause by felicitating women who made a tremendous impact in their profession, in their field of work, be it any aspect of human endeavor, politics, economics, academics, medicine, science, etc. Because we believe that by felicitating these women, we provide to the rest of society role models for them to emulate. I remember with great satisfaction that in the year 2021, we had the opportunity to felicitate a very exceptional woman who came from the most humble beginnings. And this was Sindhutai Sabkal. Sindhutai was born in the rural region of Wardha, a poor and backward district in eastern Maharashtra. Her daily routine included taking buffaloes to the field to graze as a 6-year-old. And when the buffaloes immersed themselves in the lake, she would then go to school, where the teacher would beat her because she had arrived late. And when she returned from school to the fields, the neighboring farmers would beat her because her buffaloes had entered their fields. Such was her life. And at the young age of 12, she was married away to a woman who was twice her age. By the time she reached 23, she had 3 children from him, and the 4th was in her womb when disaster struck. She had been active fighting against the cow dung mafia that was exploiting the poor women of that region. And she went and reported about them to the district magistrate. So the head bandit of the mafia got annoyed and plotted against her. He went to Sindhutai's husband and said that she's been having a secret affair with me, and the child in her womb was not the husband's but the bandit's. The gullible husband believed it, and he started kicking his wife in the womb until she fainted unconscious. And then he dragged her to the cow shed so that she would be trampled by the cows and nobody would detect the crime. However, as Providence would have it, one cow stood on top of her and protected her. There, in the mid of the night, she delivered her 4th baby. Because of lack of facilities, she took a stone to cut the umbilical cord. And with her baby, she went back to her parents' home. But the parents refused to take her in. She was now stranded. And to save herself from exploitation, she started living in graveyards and cremation grounds. So often she contemplated suicide. Now imagine the situation of this lady. without any resources and facilities. So how come she progressed from that point till she was even accorded the Indian Civilian Award of Padma Shri, the very year that JKYog felicitated her, which later turned out to be the last year of her life. The turn that took place was solely by virtue of her amazing maternal instinct. Once she took her baby and to commit suicide lay down on the railway track when she heard a groan. She went to check what it was and found that an old man was dying of thirst and hunger. She fed him and nursed him, and that gave her a tremendous sense of fulfillment. She began thinking that if helping this one man was such a fulfilling experience, would she find meaning and purpose in her life by taking care of people? But she thought again, she did not have the resources for the same. At that time, her attention went to the branch of the tree under which she was sitting. It was half broken and dangling, and yet providing shade to her. She thought again, if this half broken branch can serve me, I am sure I can find some opportunity for service. So he was aware that homeless children used to live in the railway station. She took 2, 3 such children under her care. And slowly the number of children she was taking care of increased to 15. And that caught the attention of well-minded people who helped by creating a shelter for them and started also contributing rations. Sindhutai slowly became known as the mother of the orphans. She started educating those children. Many of them became doctors, engineers, PhDs. The number of children increased to 1,000 and then even 3,000. And she started receiving accolades from all over the world. He says the crowning moment of her life was when a wretched man came to her in a very derelict condition, begging for shelter. When she looked carefully, she realized it was her husband from her Purvashram. She took him in, not as a spouse, but as her child, and used to say, he is the naughtiest of my children. And now imagine the tremendous divine virtues that manifested in Sindhutai. In today's world, these qualities are the currency for success. As brute force becomes less important, the quality of service, of empathy, of giving up sacrifice is getting recognized more and more. And this provides women with an edge for greater success than is the potential in the male gender of the species. That is why what is needed is for women to develop faith in their potential and instill in themselves the belief that they are no less than the male gender, and they can then hope to live the best life they dream of. So, on this occasion of International Women's Day 2024, I once again extend my heartiest best wishes to all the participants. And we are honored to have the opportunity to felicitate the wonderful women of accomplishment. And we thank them for accepting this award. We join all of you in looking forward to a world that is not only gender inclusive, but inclusive in every way, of all caste, creeds, races, sects, religion, skin colors, and the like. Let us continue to hold that noble ideal of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam close to our hearts. The whole earth is my family. And with that noble thought, let's look on International Women's Day as a big step in that direction towards the light of knowledge and wisdom. Namaste and Radhe Radhe. Commemorating the 113th International Women's Day, JKYog, as a worldwide non-profit organization, feels privileged to have the opportunity to honor exceptional women whose work has been inspiring inclusion across age, gender, and discipline. I am delighted today to have the opportunity to honor the incredible achievements of 7 exemplary women for their grit, commitment, and passion to excel in their chosen fields and bestow upon them awards in 7 special categories. JKYog's International Women's Day 2024 Changing Lives Award is conferred upon Dr. Madhavi Reddy. Dr. Madhavi Reddy has been practicing ophthalmology in Brownsville, Texas for 25 years. She received the 2019 Humanitarian Award from SEE International, a global eye care organization, for her work in Africa, Asia, and Americas and Oceania over the last 20 years. Born in India, she travels globally as a volunteer eye surgeon, mainly to remote places like Myanmar, Liberia, Vanuatu, and so on. Recently, she founded an affordable eye clinic in collaboration with the Brownsville Community Health Center to care for uninsured patients in the lower Rio Grande Valley. She passionately does all these activities while also making time for her family. Today, we honor Dr. Reddy with the Changing Lives Award for her passion and commitment to surgical eye missions in underdeveloped countries, caring for uninsured patients in the lower Grande Valley, and the empowerment of local ophthalmologists in patient care. The JKYog International Women's Day Award 2024 in the category of Women of Distinction is bestowed upon Dr. Sejal Mehta. Dr. Sejal Mehta has been a psychiatric physician for 25 years, specializing in child, adolescent, adult, and senior care. Dr. Mehta is the president of Psychiatric Medical Associates in Plano and serves as the medical director at several facilities. He has also conducted over 70 clinical pharmaceutical research trials. She currently holds leadership positions in multiple medical and community organizations. Dr. Mehta has also received awards for her community work. In addition to her diverse medical practices, Dr. Mehta is actively involved in various community service organizations, including BAPS and BAPS charities. He has also been actively involved in ethics and wellness related themes for physicians and the medical community. Today, we honor Dr. Mehta with the Women of Distinction Award for her numerous professional work and community service achievements. The JKYog International Women's Day 2024 Humanitarian Ambassador Award is conferred upon Srimati Ratna Reddy. Srimati Ratna Reddy has numerous achievements to her credit. She is an incredible visionary who has established an herbal park with hundreds of medicinal plants under the auspices of Ratna Group of companies. She started an Ayurvedic hospital with 25 beds to treat patients with various disorders thought to be incurable, like paralysis, jaundice, diabetes, kidney health issues, and asthma, with free consultation. She also developed medicinal herbs with extracts that have helped thousands of patients. She is making a true difference in the lives of people. Today, we honor Srimati Ratna Reddy with the Humanitarian Ambassador Award for her passion and commitment to developing a multi-pronged business for the health benefits of the people of India and the world who suffer from serious illnesses, as well as for utilizing and educating others on the merits of Ayurveda and herbal medicines. The JKYog International Women's Day 2024 Positive Impact Award is conferred upon Devjani Vishwas. Devjani Vishwas is a power leader who is internationally recognized as a best-selling author, a TEDx speaker, and a change agent. Ms. Vishwas, do TEDx talks, but you don't look like an engineer. And Common Ground on Gender Bias have each received over 1 million views. She received the 2022 USICOC Women Helping Women Award and the 2021 Top 10 Influential Female Leaders Award. She has received many other awards and honors, including the Institute Gold Medal winner at IIT Madras. Ms. Biswas is the author of best-selling books which are popular worldwide. People in 23 countries use her innovative frameworks. She is also a certified executive coach and EQ practitioner. Today, we honor Ms. Biswas with the Positive Impact Award for her numerous achievements as an inspirational leader, author, impactful speaker, and so much more. The JKYog International Women's Day 2024 Women in Business Award is conferred upon Miss Avani Modi Sarkar. Miss Avani Modi Sarkar is the co-founder of Modi Toys, a renowned children's brand specializing in toys and books that celebrate South Asian culture and Hindu faith. Since its launch in 2018, Modi Toys has produced delightful mantra singing plush toys, receiving accolades as the best toys by Good Housekeeping and Parents magazines. After her first child, Miss Modi Sarkar and her brother embarked on a mission to ignite children's curiosity about their heritage. Her notable contributions have earned her recognition from esteemed platforms such as Forbes Next 1000, Incorporated Female Founder 100, Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year for New Jersey, and New Jersey Family's Mom Entrepreneur of the Year. Today, we honor Miss Modi Sarkar with the Women in Business Award for her passion for business, with her zeal to empower young children with knowledge about their cultural heritage. The JKYog International Women's Day 2024 Arts and Culture Award for Creative Writing is conferred upon Miss Nawaz Merchant. Miss Nawaz Merchant is an Indian-born author who has achieved several literary accolades. Her debut novel, Murder in Old Bombay, won an Audiophile Award and was a finalist for 6 national awards, including the Edgar and Anthony Awards. In a series of books, she explores issues of identity, race, and moral boundary. Miss Merchant's work has been featured in the New York Times, the NPR, many mystery magazines, and other publications. She also writes screenplays and teaches creative writing at Rutgers University. She currently serves as the president of the New York chapter of Mystery Writers of America and supports the Mercer County nonprofit Shine and Inspire. She is also vice president of the Zoroastrian Association of Greater New York. Today, we honor Ms. Nawaz Merchant with the Arts and Culture Award for her passion in creative writing. the JKYog International Women's Day 2024 Environmentalist Award for the Rising Star is conferred upon Miss Sujata Gautam. Miss Sujata Gautam, a sustainability professional, is passionate about bringing more mindfulness to how people interact with the earth and each other. With a degree in civil and environmental engineering and a master's in social innovation and sustainability leadership, Sujata has worked in various roles throughout her career. In Wisconsin, she was a sustainability engagement coordinator for the Dane County Department of Waste and Renewables. She led outreach and education efforts and managed Crash Lab and the Dane County Sustainability Campus projects. Sujata also helped secure nearly $500,000 of federal funding for composting in Dane County. She's excited to return to her home state in Texas to support sustainability projects, including composting and greenhouse revival in her local community. Today, we honor Ms. Sujata Gautam with the Environmentalist Award for demonstrating her passion and commitment to protecting Mother Earth as a young rising star.
Inclusion means being heard, being given a chance to contribute towards a common goal,
To be valued, to be heard, irrespective of gender.
Recognizing and embracing the uniqueness of every individual.
Inclusion to me means inviting people no matter how different they are from you.
Inclusion is belonging. Belonging to God.
Inclusion means acceptance.
Embrace everyone without discrimination and to provide equal opportunities.
Valuing everyone equally for who they are.
No matter gender, race, or age.
Inclusion is to find those areas of commonality where you can share with any person you meet.
The allowance of diversity, regardless of occupation, gender, income, race, etc. For me, inclusion means creating a space where every woman, regardless of background, ethnicity, or circumstance, feels heard, valued, and empowered.
And encouraged to contribute their unique perspective.
On behalf of JKYog, I welcome all of you to the IWD panel discussion on inspiring inclusion. It is my honor and privilege to welcome our distinguished panelists. Each of them has made a difference in the lives of others through their contributions. We have with us Swami Mukundanandji, Radhe Radhe Swamiji, the founder of JKYog and the inspiration behind this wonderful event.
Radhe Radhe Priya, Radhe Radhe, and Namaste to everyone. What a pleasure to be having this program.
Dr. Madhvi Reddy, the recipient of JKYog's Changing Lives Award. Namaste, Madhviji.
Namaste. Thank you so much for having me.
Dr. Sejal Mehta, the recipient of JKYog's Women of Distinction Award. Namaste, Sejalji.
Namaste, Namaste Shreya ji, Namaste Swami Mukundanand ji.
Namaste.
Devjani Biswas, the recipient of JKYog's Positive Impact Award. Namaste, Devjani ji.
Namaste Shreya ji, Namaste Swami Mukundananda ji and fellow honorees. Such an honor to be here.
Namaste, Devjani ji. Namaste to everyone.
Avni Modi Sarkar, the recipient of JKYog's Positive Impact Award. Namaste,
Namaste.
Avniji.
Radhe Radhe, Swamiji.
Radhe, Radhe.
Please join your hands together to welcome and honor our panelists. I know that everyone is eager to hear you, so let us get started. My first question is, this year's theme for International Women's Day 2024 is Inspiring Inclusion. Can you briefly state what this means to you? Few of you are welcome to answer this.
Sure, I'll begin. So, inclusion to me means recognizing that someone is different from you. It's not only giving them a seat at the table, but giving them a microphone to amplify their voice, to recognize that the differences that we all have are a beautiful thing. It's something to really embrace and figure out ways to really ensure that they are part of bigger conversations, that their names are being mentioned in rooms that they don't have access to. It's really making sure that they are no longer seen as someone different, but really seen as someone that are just like the rest of us, but honoring what is unique about them.
Thank you, Avniji.
Very well said, Avniji, and I would continue that thought. We all are so different. Everyone's fingerprints are different, the facial features are different, but at the same time, under the skin, we are all the same. We all have the same emotions that we all experience. And being able to understand that, and just like what Swamiji said, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, considering everyone as this one big family gives us power to forgive and forget and still stay united. So it's the unity in diversity for me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sejalji. Madhviji?
I think for me, not only to recognize that we're all the same, but extending a hand to help someone who's struggling to break the mold that society has put them in. It can be either mentoring or just listening, supporting, helping them with connections, whatever they're in need for. And that's what inspiring inclusion means to me.
Thank you so much. Swamiji, would you like to say?
This year's theme has the word inclusion, which in this context is a mindset, a way of thinking where we go beyond the self to a broader perspective of existence. And I look on this word as having three aspects. The first is acceptance, the second is respect, and the third is empowerment. So first is we accept that everybody in this world is different, and there's nothing wrong with that. We have 5 fingers on our hand and we accept them all. And the second aspect is respect, where we embrace the diversity and we appreciate the fact that everybody bring their own unique talents and skills and can contribute in a meaningful way. And the third is empowerment, that it is not an equal play field, and the mere fact that legally the rights are ensured isn't enough. Some people need more support. So to provide them with the support is the third aspect of inclusion.
Beautiful answers. Thank you so much. Next, I'm going to ask a question. Have you, this is to Devjani ji and Madhvi ji, have you experienced any gender stereotypes in your profession or the community? If yes, how did you handle it?
Thank you so much, Shreyaji. I think I will start with a very early life example. So for the first 15 years of my life, I'm the youngest of 4 girls, and I was in an all-girls convent school. So I did not actually realize that there was so much in this field of gender stereotyping. And then I think I was 16 years and a couple of months, and I was in IIT Madras, as Swami Mukundandanji referenced. And it was me and 39 boys in the classroom. And I suddenly realized, and I was like, where are all the other girls? And I realized then that there are certain careers where it is assumed that it is more suited for a certain gender versus the other gender. Specifically, engineering is one of those areas. I go more broadly into science, technology, engineering, and math. And I think one of the biggest things, my biggest aha, is that the parents, it is when we are young in our teens and going into college, it is not so much our decision as the stepping stones that our parents and our caring adults around us have set for us to get into a career path. And so that would be my idea. If we want to reduce gender stereotyping, let us see the messaging that we are giving our young girls and young boys very early in their life.
Thank you so much. Very interesting. I can imagine how it must have been to be a only girl in this entire engineering school in a classroom. I really salute you and admire you for your journey. You are a brave woman and our inspiration.
Thank you so much.
Madhviji?
Well, first of all, congratulations for making it. And I believe you're stronger for it, Devyani.
Thank you so much, Dr. Madhuri. Yes, thank you.
Yes. First of all, I have to recognize and honor all the people who believed in me before I go on to incidents that have, to the people who have not believed in me. They are in the minority, fortunately. So going back to growing up and going to school in India, it was medical school. And one of my professors asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? What specialty are you going to choose? I didn't even have to think. I knew always I was going to be a surgeon. So when I said that, he laughed and said, you don't have the personality for it. I said, okay, but went on to become an eye surgeon anyway. And then I moved to the US. It was the same thing. I mean, a completely other side of the world that I always thought the United States was much more developed and much more forward, but no. I was a foreign medical graduate, and on top of that, woman. So people just said, oh, you'll find out soon what we're talking about. But hard work, perseverance, and mentors, some people that I've met on my journey, they made all the difference and helped me get in. So now I feel that's the successful formula, and that we need to share that advice and that formula with our younger generation.
Thank you so much, Madhviji. Next question is for Avniji. You said that after your first child was born, you and your brother went on a mission to spark curiosity to children about their roots. How did you come up with the idea to start a company instead of purchasing cultural toys and books from Indian stores or from a local market?
So, the saying goes that necessity is the mother of all inventions, and that's exactly what happened in our case. We didn't have the option to go to a store and purchase the types of books and toys that we were seeking. Believe me, that is actually how our journey began. My brother went to, I think, Target, Toys R Us, looked for at least 30 minutes on Amazon, Google. He spent so much time looking for these types of products, which, at the time we didn't know existed. We just thought we weren't looking hard enough. And as it turns out, we actually ended up creating a brand new category of toys and books. And what I mean by that is we have a plush toy. This is our baby Krishna, and we have a matching book that goes with it, The Curious Case of Krishna. And we just didn't see stuff like this exist in the market at the time. And we wanted to just find a way as parents raising first generation Indian American kids, a way to at least introduce them to our Hindu heritage and find ways to spark curiosity in them about it. Because, we don't have, unfortunately, the liberty to go to India every summer or, every few months. And that's the way we kind of grew up, right? We spent a great deal of our childhood in India. And then even when we moved here to New Jersey, we felt so immersed in our culture because at home we speak Gujarati, we eat Gujarati food every day, go to the temple every weekend. But, times have changed. The way that parents in my generation are raising their kids, they're trying to instill the same core values that our parents raised us with, but by recognizing that, we're also in a different generation. Many of us are both like working full time, but still trying to find ways to make sure that our kids are still influenced by our Hindu heritage and our Indian culture. So we thought if there was an easy, fun, accessible way that still imparts a lot of knowledge into play, then it makes play that much more meaningful. And if we had found the types of toys and books that we now have, 7 years ago when our daughters were first born, then I may not even be sitting here accepting this award.
Thank you so much. It's really fascinating to see that we have all these Indian toys, and I looked at the demo. They sing wonderful mantras and bhajans. It's so fascinating and really happy to see that how you have really transformed the toys industries with these toys. Thank you so much. My next question is to Dr. Sejal Mehta. People in India as well as some in the US tend to stigmatize psychiatric care. What inspired you to specialize in this field of medicine?
Thank you, Shreyaji. That's a very relevant question. And you are right. You are absolutely correct that mental health or mental wellness is still a stigmatized subject, especially in India, because we are taught that we have to be strong internally and we can't have any weakness per se. So, mental illness has been perceived as a weakness rather than a medical disease. For me personally, what was going on early on, I found myself getting interested in people's behavior around me. I remember being 5 year old, wanting to be a physician, and still very much interested in seeing how that bus conductor is treating one person versus another one, or how that lady that is selling the vegetables is dealing or multitasking on the side of the road. So observing human behavior from early age really got me much interested in the question why people behave in certain way that they do. And after that, medical school was a journey, and then I had a chance to have a rotation in psychiatry, and it was absolutely amazing to be able to understand uh, spoken words and unspoken words and lines that are in between lines and not written, body language, and what message is being given out, and what we inherit and what we learn in our environment, and how we are packaged together. It's fascinating. I have been a psychiatrist for 25 years and never had a dull day in my life.
I can only imagine. Must be a enriching journey trying to help so many people.
It has been very fulfilling journey. Hundreds of thousands of patients that I have came across, I have always tried to give it back and give them something more than just medication prescription. Every patient that I interact with, I share piece of me with them. So it's and that's way it has become a very much a spiritual journey in a way for me as well. And I'm extremely grateful for my experiences for teaching me to be what I am right now.
Thank you so much. Next question is for Swamiji. Uh, Swamiji, you travel all over the world, especially in many parts of US and India. So what are your observations about the inclusiveness of women in all aspects of life?
Let me start with India. On the plus side is the deeply ingrained philosophic understanding that the sacred feminine manifests in women. And that is why women are seen as representations of Shakti. Again, in modern times, women's rights have been ensured by the Constitution and, in fact, even affirmative action. And there are multiple schemes being implemented by the governments like Nari Shakti, etc. And yet, at the ground level, a lot of work needs to be done. So the reality is anywhere near gender inclusiveness. Now, two things that can be extremely helpful in this situation is for women to develop emotional independence and financial independence. So this emotional dependence makes them people pleasers and prevents them from having confidence in themselves. Whereas if they can grow in their emotional independence, then they don't feel they need to do something that is considered right by others. And the second is financial independence. I came across a very interesting video that was released by the company Paytm. So Paytm did this test where they invited 30 ladies and gents of different age groups, and they were all made to stand in a line, and they were asked questions. If they answered correctly, they were to take a step forward or otherwise a step back. And the questions started off with simple ones like, did you learn the cycle by the age of 10, etc. And it was found that ladies and gents were about equal in where they were standing until the financial questions started getting asked. And then these highly educated ladies, they found that they were completely behind the gents. And the takeaway was that there is very little financial literacy amongst the feminine gender. If that can be increased in India, it would be very helpful. Now, coming to the United States, at the family level, it is quite satisfying to see that both husband and wife invariably have their profession and they both take care of the home chores. So, to that extent, there is equality. And when it comes to education in the public educational system, women are guaranteed, girls are guaranteed quality education. And in fact, the surprising figures are that 70% of the valedictorians in schools are girls. And again, in the higher educational system, there are more ladies and they outperform the gents. But when you come to the corporate world, there is a stark difference where only 20% of the C suite posts, 27% of the C suite posts are occupied by women. And when you come to CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies, then women's share is just 5%. So this stereotype needs to be broken at the highest echelons. And in fact, women have the absolute potential to be the best leaders as much as men do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Very lovely and inspiring answer. Next question is for Dr. Madhvi Reddy. You have participated in many surgical eye missions in underdeveloped countries. What inspired you to participate in such missions?
Well, it's a long story. But first, I want to acknowledge what Swami Mukundananda said. The emotional independence and the financial independence is the key for us to get ahead, however much we're educated. Yes.
Yes. I also
And
resonated so well with that answer, Swamiji. Immense gratitude for bringing out these points in our lives. We all can connect to that.
going to surgical eye expeditions, it's funny, I've done this work for 20 years, have been to 20 different countries, and people still ask me, does your husband go with you? And I say, no, he hasn't been to a single one of them. My children have been, but not my husband. And that doesn't hold me back. Going back to what inspires me to do this is there's nothing more joyful than watching a blind patient regain their vision. The first day you take their patch off and you see their eyes and world light up, it's just amazing. And I want to provide that service not just to paying patients in an urban setting, but to all patients, irrespective of their ability to pay, irrespective of their resources in the remotest places. And of course, I love traveling. I love to see new places, work with new teams. And some people call me a thrill seeker, you know, to rise up to the challenge of putting together a surgical team in a place that doesn't even have a hospital. And that's what drives me. And recently, I've realized it's not just going there and doing surgeries and helping people see, but we have to focus on training the young ophthalmologists in these countries, especially the low and middle income countries, so we can train them so they can continue to provide sustainable eye care in their own places. So when we go there for a week or 2 weeks and we leave, they're able to continue that service rather than the work come to a standstill. So it keeps my work fresh and helps me to be passionate. And when I come back, it's not routine. I love all the resources we have here. You look at the floor and say, oh my God, it is so clean. The equipment is so wonderful. So it's a way to keep me, how should I say, energized and rejuvenated.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy. When you say that, when you take the patch off of a person's eyes and they are able to see for the first time, it is that experience, I'm sure, can't be explained in any words, and how much inner joy and satisfaction it must be giving you. And you have been doing this over years and years in so many countries. Very, very inspiring.
Thank you.
So my next question is for Dr. Sejal Mehta and Devjani ji. You have accomplished so much in your lives. What advice would you like to give to women who are trying to break glass ceiling or reach their dreams?
Thank you, Shreyaji. And Madhviji, I can relate to that feeling of gratification as I have the same feeling when one of my patient who has attempted suicide and I'm able to take care of them, infuse the life, zest of life back into them, and that smile that they have on their face. Yes, I can relate to that. Answering to your question about glass ceiling. What glass ceiling? It has been shattered long time ago. If you just walk this journey with me, Shreyaji, Swami Mukundananji mentioned Gargi. So Gargi in Brihadaranya Upanishad has been able to reach to that status that she is all knowledgeable, that she is able to debate about Brahmagnan, which is the ultimate knowledge in the world. Sitaji, in that day and age, she has been able to raise her 2 kids by herself without help of her husband. That's a courage. Draupadi ji, marrying 5 men by the guidance of Vadil in the family and still having Krishna Bhagwan as the best friend, Sakha. Phenomenal example. Radhaji, being older, being with Vrishabhanu, still being able to imbibe that ultimate knowledge and love and dedication towards Lord Krishna. If we move for, Swamiji also mentioned Ahalya Bai, Queen Ahalya Bai. She took the ultimate ruling and really won people's heart doing that. Lakshmi Bai, she fought the war by herself till her last breath. And she set an example for all of us that, yes, it's possible, we can do it. If we move a little bit forward, Indira Gandhi ji, she became Prime Minister of a billion people country. And she broke the glass ceiling at that time. More now, Indra Nui ji, she became the CEO of PepsiCo, big company. And Nirmala ji Sitaraman, right now she's our finance minister. So women, we have the role models in front of us. It's what is keeping us is our own perceived limitations. And I would say that younger generation, the girls, and for that matter, boys too, only limitation is our own perception of boundaries that we draw for ourselves. So our journey should be a step further, step upwards, and as we go, there is no ceiling. We can always continue to rise and enjoy our journey at every step.
Thank you, Sejalji. Loved the entire spectrum you covered for our role models and inspiration. And Devjani ji.
Thank you so much. It's so interesting when you see our honorees, and all of us have such different, and that's so beautiful. We are diverse even in our approaches to these same questions. So when I want to break your question into 2 parts, one of them you asked about breaking the glass ceiling. So the engineer in me, and I'll say when we were practicing for this panel, Shreyaji is one of the examples of women helping other women. She said, why do you keep saying when I was in engineering school? Why don't you say when I was in IIT? And it's that kind of an example of someone else telling you to put yourself forward that will help us as a group break the glass ceiling. So that's one of the examples. The engineer in me wants to recognize by data harvesting and pattern recognition to talk about something that Swamiji mentioned. When you look at the numbers, for example, corporate America, Fortune 500 companies, the CEOs are less. In fact, just a handful of females are CEOs. It really starts pretty early. And so what we have to do is there's 2 parts. It's not just inspiring inclusion. We have to first reduce exclusion, because you can inspire inclusion if someone's in the room. But if someone is not in the room because of systems of inequity, then you have to first recognize and decrease exclusion before you go to inspiring inclusion. So that's the first step. And then the second thing towards breaking the glass ceiling is there are so many successful women. We in this panel are just an example of a tremendous amount of successful women and men who are so willing to mentor and help early career females and males, but we don't ask for help. That's the biggest mistake I made when I was young, is I tried to be superwoman. I tried to do, domestic chores. I tried to do the work. I tried to do this. I tried to do that. So if we can break that myth, that will help us break the glass ceiling. And then the second part of your question, which was wonderful, Shreyaji, is how do women reach their dreams? So one of my favorite quotes is from Williamson, where she says, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And I think as women, we don't dream big enough. So I was laid off 10, 12 years ago. And my son, who's listening to this broadcast, said, Mommy, you wanted to write a book. What are you waiting for? As a result of which, 3 books later, Swamiji mentioned international bestseller, I was dreaming too small. And so if we can inspire our young females, males, everybody across the LGBTQ plus, all of us, if we can inspire ourselves to dream big, take up space, don't be a people pleaser, say, yes, this is what I want, that gets to that financial independence, emotional independence. It doesn't matter if along the way I get a little unpopular, not a big deal at all. So that would be my thing, is dream big. And, maybe there will be thousands of us on panels like this in the years to come.
Thank you so much, Devjani ji. Wonderful answers by Sejal Ben and Devjani ji. Next question is for Swami ji. What message would you like to give to emphasize the point that it takes both men and women to inspire inclusion across the world?
Well, let me begin from Debjani ji's answer that you have to eliminate exclusion. And that requires men to be just more human. Dr. Sejal brought up reference to Indra Nooyi. Now, this is a story about Indra Nooyi in the year 1994 when she was new to the US. Her husband was still studying in the university and she was working in BCG, the Boston Consulting Group. When her father in India developed pancreatic cancer and was given only 6 months to live. So husband and wife brought him over to the US and she needed to tend to him. At that time, Indra Nooyi said that my senior boss at that time, Carl Stern, he said, I'm giving you 6 months paid leave. And that paid leave saved her. So she says, what I am today is a product of receiving paid leave. Many years later, she met her old boss and asked that in those days there was no concept of paid leave. Why did you give it to me? And Carl Stern said, it was the human thing to do. So to be human is to feel, to have empathy for the aspirations of others and provide them the support they need. This is the contribution from the side of women and from the side of men and from the side of women, as has been brought up in the last answers, is the need to believe in their capabilities. Because the legal system in most of the democracies ensures that there's equality of rights amongst genders. And what is limiting us is the beliefs. So that is why I just loved the answer by Dr. Sejal when she said, what glass ceiling? This glass ceiling is a concoction of our mind. One researcher in New York, Dr. Margaret Shee, she did a very interesting study to see how beliefs limit us, our stereotype conceptions. So she called over 400 Asian ladies and then grilled them on how, in general, it has been found that when it comes to math, women seem to perform less than men do. And then she gave them a standard test. And that's exactly what happened. They performed under par. And then she called them back again after 4 months and emphasized their Asian ethnicity and said, when it comes to math, Asians always outperform the rest of the world. So you are all Asians. And she gave them again a standard test. And this time their performance was above par, just to show that they were creating their own limitations by what they believed. And that is why women can claim their power. They can claim inclusiveness by dismantling any limiting belief and saying what's ceiling. And for men, it's just the more human thing to do.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Every time we listen to you, we get new inspiration and love your answer. Next question is for Dr. Madhvi Reddy. You founded Power Talks, a professional women's group for mentoring girls in public schools in Brownsville. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Of course, it's my favorite subject. Talking about mentorship, I feel grateful for the mentors that I have come across in my journey, especially one that comes to my mind, Dr. Juliet Garcia. She's the first Hispanic woman president of an American university, and she lives right here in Brownsville. So she told me once, Madhvi, if you like something, if you're passionate about something, even if you don't know how to do it, if you have an opportunity, just raise your hand, she said. When you get that job, you will learn on the job because you know you're capable. And I've always kept that in mind. So even if something is new, if it's something that I want to do, I'll just say, I'll go for it. And this was the same. Because of the role mentors have played in my life, I wanted to extend that. And we have a lot of friends, professional women of all backgrounds, all races here in Brownsville. Engineers, doctors, nurses, therapists, even hairdressers and technicians and businesswomen. So we said, instead of just meeting up to have fun, why don't we do something even more fun? So we picked the public school system, especially the middle school girls, because Brownsville is a city right on the border of Mexico and 95% Hispanic, poor, and they're not very well educated. So that really leaves the young girls at a very vulnerable, stage. Teen pregnancy is very high because they don't have any role models. They don't know what to do in their middle school or high school. And so we formed this informal group called Power Talks. And we had to go through a lot of, rules and regulations. They have to clear you in order to even go into a public school system. And that took us a few months. And initially, what we did was we shared our stories, our backgrounds, what made us pick our careers, and what kind of challenges we faced, and our humble beginnings. None of us were really, a lot of us had humble backgrounds. And that way, the children or the girls know they don't have to come from a family with great resources in order to do something that they want to do. And then later on, we divided them up into smaller groups so we could meet with them on a regular basis, listen to them, what's holding them back, what they enjoy, and connecting them with fields of the, people in the fields of their interest, sort of creating summer internships with our friends. And if somebody wanted to go into the medical field, they would be able to go and shadow them. A business, yes, they can go watch them, how it feels to have a day in that kind of field. And we thoroughly enjoyed. And that's what was about Power Talks.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Very inspiring. Next one is for Devjani ji. In your TED Talks, but you don't look like an engineer, Common Ground on Gender Bias, you have addressed gender bias issues and how you attempt to breach the gender gap. Can you share one or two strategies that are easy to implement yet have a significant impact?
Definitely. Thank you. That is such a thoughtful question. So I'll start off with one thing which I referenced in the TED Talks as well as in my books or when I speak is language. Understand how gender normed some of our language is. When we talk about when I was at Texas Instruments for 17 years, one of the biggest distinctions for technical skills was to be a fellow. A fellow defaults to a male. Then if you look at the way we talk about people, we say fireman, policeman. When we say nurse, we assume it's a female. So if we are very mindful of the language that we use and the inherent gender norm towards that language, once you see something, see it in the TV, on TV, in movies, wherever it is, the books that we read, you start noticing it. So when I wrote my first book, my editors, they commented, every time I was talking about someone successful, I was using the pronoun he. And so it was just my own innate gender bias, which I reference in Common Ground on Gender Bias, the TED Talk. And so, of course, when I was writing Miserably Successful No More, I sheed myself to death. But the point is recognizing that the piece of it where your language denotes a lot of what you assume that gender is. I really dislike the term non-traditional career because it assumes that there is a career path for a specific person, and that assumes the gender of what that person is. I really wish we could do away with the whole term non-traditional careers. And then the other thing is, I give examples in my TED Talks about the strategy. This is my appeal to all the parents in the audience, to all the caring adults, to all the people that have young females and males that they influence. If you could inspire, and I've given some simple examples such as inspiring a love for science, technology, engineering, and math. STEM has such a lot of career opportunities, and so few females are applying in those spaces because of what Swamiji referenced earlier, which was an example of stereotype threat around girls and math. So if we can reduce that, math is just beautiful. The logic, a differential equation, integration, any of those, if we can develop, my mother taught my sister and me just a love of math. She would take a 100-rupee note when we were in India. We would go to the grocery store, and it was a competition between my sister Rupa and me, saying that, can you tell me after we finished our groceries, what will the change be? And so we were in our mind adding up, minusing it from 100. And I started off knowing that math was fun. And I think that is such a huge detriment, is that we start off with this stereotype and say, oh, girls don't like math. Boys are good at math. What's with that? That doesn't make any sense. It's illogical.
Thank you so much, Devchani ji. Avni ji, Modi toys have been around for 5 years and would like to know what impact have you seen with these products out in the world?
Sure. I will get to that question, but I would be remiss if I did not mention this book, given the theme of why we're all here today, International Women's Day. This is a book that we launched last year that I wrote myself. It's called Desi Devi, South Asian Women of Wonder from A to Z. And to both Swamiji and Sejal-ji's point, it actually includes some of the women that we were just talking about, including Indra Nooyi, and also includes Queen Rani Lakshmi. So I just wanted to put this out there. And also it includes a blank page for the letter X, because this is supposed to have a mirror, but my kids tore it off. The letter X stands for you, and it says, print your name here. X marks the spot for the exceptional person you will grow up to become and all of the extraordinary things you will achieve.
That is beautiful, Avniji.
Thank you. And the reason why I wrote this book is, again, it came out of a personal need. I have 2 girls and 1 boy. And when my girls were starting to get a little bit older, I wanted to introduce them to these types of, female empowerment books. And there are a ton of books out there in this genre. Like, I have not invented this genre. But when I went to go find a book that was specific to only South Asian women, I literally could not find anything. And I thought, like, what century are we living in that a book like this does not exist? I mean, there are, autobiographical books about like many of these women that are in this book, but no one book that kind of encompasses, all of them. And of course, there are so many more women beyond the 25 that are in this book. But I wanted to I want to emphasize the importance of really highlighting women like these to our children. And this book is not just for my daughters, right? I read it to my son as well, because it's important to showcase that women are capable of achieving all of these things in all of these areas of life. I mean, this book covers people who have excelled in culinary, in medicine, in law, in all different aspects of life. And really, I wanted to really take the time to make sure that I was picking people from all different areas of life, because I didn't want, to then send the wrong message that only if you are a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer are you considered noteworthy. You can do anything in life. I have poets in here too, and as long as you are making a valuable contribution to society, you are successful in my eyes. And I wanted to really highlight all of these women, or as many that I could fit in this book. So I just thought that it was really fitting, given all the women that we're talking about and what we're meeting today. To go to your question, it's very easy to think that, as a children's brand of toys and books, like all we're manufacturing are toys and books. But when I take a moment to reflect on all the different types of anecdotal stories we've heard from our customers over the past 5 years, that's what makes me realize, like, wow, we are building something far beyond what we imagined. So, I'll admit that, 7 years ago, when I was talking about the story, how my brother and I, we were looking for toys and books like these, we were really just looking for toys and books, right? We were not thinking we're going to, make actual differences in the lives of people. But now, after hearing from so many people and families, we realized that, like, we weren't dreaming big enough, as someone said, and we didn't realize the impact that our toys would have on the lives of so many people. I'll give you some examples. When we first launched our company in 2018, within a matter of a month, we received an email from someone down in Florida, I believe, saying that her sister-in-law was in a terrible car accident, and she was like 8 months pregnant, and they had to rush her like by helicopter to a hospital to save both her and her daughter's life. And at that, I'm like choking up talking about the story. They were so desperate at the time to just find hope really in anything, that they were just so grateful that they came across our brand at the time. And we were just, so brand new that not many of us even knew about us, that she reached out, just kind of desperately seeking a light at the end of the tunnel, saying, hey, can you please, overnight your toy to us? And at the time, we only had our baby Ganesh plush. And she told us about what happened. And we were like, we will get this to you tomorrow. Like we don't want your money. We don't want to like charge you. Like, we just want to make sure that you have a symbol of hope and strength and luck, close to you during a time of need like this. And that just became one of many, many stories that we have been hearing over the past 5 years. And, it's not always so morbid either, right? I mean, we've heard many stories of hope and joy as well. We've seen so many videos of women kind of announcing the news of their pregnancy to either their partner, their parents, their family, their loved ones, with our plush toys, or many families announcing the gender during the gender reveal. Since then, we've also introduced Lakshmi Devi, Durga Devi, Saraswati Devi. So, they'll use Lakshmi Devi if it's a girl, they'll use baby Krishna if it's a boy. But, just people thinking about these toys beyond what they are. And I feel like calling them a toy is really a misnomer, because people don't view them as that. Originally when we launched, we thought that our target audience, if you will, was really kids who were like ages 5 and below. That's how narrow-minded we were, because again, we weren't thinking big enough. We didn't realize that there really is no age limit for a product like this, because we have now again learned, just based on anecdotes and stories from our customers, that people are not just buying it for their kids, they're buying it for themselves, they're buying it for their parents, because of what all of these gods and goddesses represent. Durga represents, power and strength. Hanuman, again, represents loyalty. Ganesh represents luck and new beginnings. So it's because of what these gods and goddesses represent, people are, feel compelled to bring them into their homes. It's not just a plaything for them. It's so much more than that. And there's a famous saying that people will forget what you said or what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that to me is the definition of impact, that, years from now, when I'm no longer around, or, all these kids that now have our products are grown up, they will hopefully remember, these moments that sparked joy in them, that sparked, curiosity in them, that gave them a little bit of strength and comfort during times of need.
Thank you, Avniji. Love the impact that you are bringing on small children, next generation, and it's so admirable. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up short question, an incentive for our listeners and devotees to buy Modi toys for their children. Anything you would like to offer today?
Yes, absolutely. I would love it if you would love to bring all of our toys and books into your home. We have an exclusive code for all of our listeners and viewers today. It's JKY15 for 15% discount off our entire website. And it does expire tomorrow at midnight. So I hope that you don't miss out on this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. JKY15, that's the code. We'll request you put it out in the comments, please, so that people can take advantage of that. Next question is Dr. Sejal Mehta. In your professional practice and social work, what kind of issues do you see women dealing with? And I would appreciate your take on the sources of these issues also, please.
Yes, Shreyaji. So in my professional and social life, I have came across variety of women from variety of background. What actually goes on here is women from being
We lost your sound. Okay.
Now, am I back? Okay, I'm sorry. So, women being physically weak, as Swamiji mentioned, there is a lot of abuse that goes on in a early life, even in a late midlife or later life, that women are not able to reach out and get help. And another thing is that perceived limitation that we talked about is there is a, and as Debjani ji mentioned about the language, what usually male are looking for is a job with a good salary because I deserve it. And what women are usually thinking, it's okay, I'll take this job and then I will prove myself and maybe then I will get a raise. So there is a difference in negotiation techniques. There is a lack of self esteem, lack of self confidence, and all that needs to be tackled right, beginning right from the home. Every mother can make that change. Every mother can empower their daughter and get their son to understand that women are to be respected just like you respect anyone else, in at home, outside of the home, in a professional life. It doesn't matter where, but it actually does start from the home. And I would wish that once we start doing that, then this generational stereotype, this familial, like in the family there is sometimes there is a stereotype, or in a society there is a stereotype, and then individually self-perceived stereotype would start going away, or it will become blur, and people would be having that good society where people are respecting each other and everyone is thriving, not just surviving.
and this is the time for that. And Avniji, your toys related to this theme of Hindu religion is very much appreciated. um, I think and the whole reason why we are still discussing this in 2024 is 75 years of independence was lost, and our history that we learn, we have to unlearn some of it and then relearn the right history. So I'm glad we are all doing it together, and we are in this journey together. So what I see in my social work, my community work, in my surroundings, in my home, in my workplace, is women that are slowly waking up, and they are taking a deep breath and saying that, hey, I exist too. And that's exactly what needs to happen in every home, every society, every country.
Thank you so much, Sejalben. So next, this is my last question to everyone. If there is any one point which you wish to share with the audience, which we have not covered today, and because of time constraints, we can have one-liners, please.
I'll start. Um, as my guru, Mahan Swami Maharaj and Pramukh Swami Maharaj have always said, in joy of others lies our own. I think as a woman, whatever we can do to help other women, be our sisters' keepers, and let's walk together to achieve that state where we are all thriving together. So I would say that I don't want that regret for anyone of not appreciating what they have. That is the root cause of a problem, is not being grateful about what we got. I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful um, for what I have got from everyone, including all of you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sejalben. Next, who would like?
I'll go next. This actually kind of think dovetails off what Debjani ji was saying earlier. It's about a shift in how you speak to yourself. So two key phrases that I want to leave you with. One is never say, I can't do it. Say, I haven't tried it yet. And secondly, don't say, oh, I have to do XYZ. Say, I get to do XYZ. Honestly, it will completely reframe whatever situation you're in.
Lovely.
Okay, I'll go next.
Go ahead. Yes, Madhviji.
I think achieving success is not enough, but we need to scale up the model. And how do we do that? By helping share the lessons that we have learned, by mentoring those that come after us, the younger generation. I believe that's what is very necessary. We don't want the wheel to be rediscovered. We just pass it on.
Right. Thank you so much. Beautiful answer, Devjani ji.
So there's a couple of comments I'd like to make. The first one is, sometimes when we achieve success, people see us and they see us just as a successful piece. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, when we show that we have failed and tried and failed and tried again, and we have a resilience. So if we are vulnerable, I think we really help, especially early career and young females, we really help them. So that's one aspect, is open that door. Don't try and show yourself as super perfect, but be vulnerable, and that will inspire other people to fail and try again. The second part of it is, can inspiring inclusion be integral to your day-to-day? Just can it be innate? So wherever you are, you see you're in a group of 10 people and you see one person is left out. They are speaking a little differently. They're dressed a little differently. And this is across gender, race, any aspect, introvert, extrovert. Make inclusion just part of your day-to-day life, like breathing. See who's left out and just bring them in. And as someone said earlier, that's so rewarding, because we're doing it, I would say, almost selfishly. We feel so much better when we help other people. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Devjani ji. Swami ji.
Well, first of all, it has been so wonderful to be in the midst of So many amazing, accomplished ladies here, and to hear your journeys, to hear your wisdom and your the enrichment through experience that you've had in your life. Now, coming to the one-liner, in Sanskrit, we have this technique of sandhi where you can keep on joining the words and then making one word is one sentence long. So here goes the one sentence. Inclusion will come naturally to us if we can cultivate sincere, true devotion to the Creator and manifest it in an attitude of service towards all human beings, for we will then more easily recognize the inherent worth in each person, be able to treat them with dignity and respect, and provide them the help and support they need in an attitude of service. Thank you.
Swamiji, that was wonderful, heavy statement and one impactful conclusion. It has been truly an honor to interact with each one of you. We appreciate you coming on JKYog platform and sharing your personal experiences, mentoring all of us, the people who are watching this program, and we'd like to express our gratitude. With that, we conclude our program today and wishing everyone a very happy International Women's Day 2024. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Shreyaji, for all the behind-the-scenes work and moderating the panel. You are the glue that stuck a lot of this, so thank you as well.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Inclusion.
It is freedom to be myself
and not lose opportunities for growth.
Inclusion is
being able to communicate my feedback clearly
without fear of judgment, avoidance, or retaliation.
Being made a part of key conversations and decisions.
And receiving equal access to resources without having to ask.
Inclusion is not having to talk over someone.
To make yourself feel heard.
Not having to toot your own horn to get recognized for what is due to you.
Inclusion is understanding that there is a room for multiple perspectives.
That different doesn't mean deficient.
Inclusion is not a favor we do to others,
but a moral duty to recognize their inherent values, contributions, merits, and rights.
It is the realization that we may have different cultures, goals, situations, and values, but we are all equally human.
Inclusion is respect.
recognizing that we all deserve optimal education, healthcare, and economic development.
And right to do what is best for our bodies, minds, and spirits.
It is recognizing
that we all have an important part to play in God's plan.
If one of us suffers,
we all suffer. Inclusion means that alone we may go fast,
but together we will go farther than we could have ever imagined.
Inspire inclusion.
Inspire inclusion.